Because it's 5 o'clock here, so it's
5 o'clock somewhere.
I like how Gerald shuts up when he sees that we're live. Gerald was just saying he's drinking cider as we were recording, everybody. He's having a great time.
I'm having a great time.
That's right.
So far. Until we started this, that is.
Okay.
Wah.
Okay, so we are live. This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Anise.
I'm Gerald.
And I am Andy.
All right. So we are discussing...
Andy's all choked up about the story.
I know. I actually can't read if he loved it or hated it, but I think he hated it is what I suspect, which is great because I like when Andy's wrong. So is it? Okay. So this week we are discussing Boar, Taint by Bonnie Jo Campbell. I don't know how hard I should hit that E.
Yeah, why is it Campbell? I don't know.
Well, she's actually from, it's one of those location surnames, right? She was from Camp Bell, named after Jonathan Bell.
I see.
Really?
No.
Andy, why do you make these things up? All right.
That's not fair. You know I'm a sucker for
I don't know why, but the internet said it's not Campbell, it's Camp Bell. Okay. So, why don't we just start with overall impressions, and I'm dying to know what Andy thinks since he's been very coy about it.
We don't even know what the story's about, Annie.
Oh, I got a summary. Oh, no, I don't want to tell you. Okay, so the story is about, oh my God. Okay. So
hey, wait, what if our listeners haven't read it yet? Should they?
They should read it, yeah. Yeah, that's given. It's in the description. There's a link. Go read it free online, obviously. Yes. All right.
Wait, read your script. Where's your script?
Oh, I don't do summary scripts because then it sounds too robotic.
I know you don't.
I wing it. Here we go.
We can tell.
I know. Well, I used to write out summary scripts, remember, last year? And then after a while, we're like, this just sounds like I'm reading from a script. Anyway.
Because you were.
I was.
I used to print them out and hold them in a little holder next to my screen. I was really, really good and professional and everything. Yeah.
That's called being sweaty.
Get me. Yes.
Okay.
Sweaty.
Yeah, it's like a try hard, somebody who tries really hard. But it's good. It's good. I'm usually called sweaty. All right. So, in the story, the protagonist, she's got to be like in her late 20s, I think, or like 30 on the nose or something like that. And she is married to a farmer. Did they say the name of the town? I can't remember, but it's like boonies of Michigan somewhere outside of Ann Arbor. I don't know if they named the town or not, but they're in Michigan. And so she actually grew up, it sounds like middle class, went to grad school, studied farming, studied agriculture, and then married this farmer who is not what her family expected. And they're just sort of amused by the whole thing, or bemused in terms. And they think she's made a mistake, but anyway. So she has tried all these different ideas to have the farm be more profitable. 2 of those schemes have failed. At the start of the story, she's on scheme number 3, but her confidence is a little shaken. There's some tension between her husband, Ernie, and herself. Nothing earth-shattering, but it's there. They're living on a low income. Things like buying a chocolate bar is a luxury that she feels like she has to hide from him. So she was going to go and buy a boar hog from a farmhouse. It's like at the end, after you're past the asphalt, after you're past the gravel road, and you're onto just like 2-tire, like a dirt road. There's a very impoverished farmhouse, the Jensens, who are selling this. She goes there. This house is falling apart. The wood is all damp and soft. There's a stair that's got like rot in it. She goes into the living room. There's one woman there who she assumes at first must be much older, but it's actually around her age, maybe a few years older, who seems to more or less be in charge. There's a bunch of men there, a lot of poverty, a lot of hunger. And there's a boy who helps her go get this hog, who her husband was already suspicious this hog cannot be in great condition for $25. That's super cheap. So they go, this hog is nearly dead. He has an infection in one of his testicles, which is a huge problem because she wants him to breed. The idea is to breed pigs for roast, for meat. And so this hog's basically dead. She leaves the house shaken from what she's seen and the fact that another one of her harebrained plots has fallen through, she assumes. She gets back home. Her husband Ernie is there with a neighbor and the neighbor's teenage son. And she says, yeah, the hog's dead. And Ernie kind of takes this in stride, pities her a little bit. He kind of saw this coming. But hey, Ernie goes, whispers some mysterious words to the hog, and the hog springs back to life. No one's quite sure why. I mean, he's not like good to go, but he's alive. And she gets a little bit of hope at the end that maybe she can nurse this hog back to health, and they can breed little pigs.
Hurrah!
Okay, except...
Yay.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that hope. Anyway.
And they will live happily ever after.
Yeah.
You don't agree with the hope?
No.
What?
What?
No.
It's...
Oh, what do you mean agree? Okay, you can't agree or disagree with someone's hope. She can hope all she wants. I don't think the plan is going to work, but...
I don't know,
That's what I mean. Okay, Andy, so what did you think of the story?
I mean, I enjoyed reading it, but like the whole, I didn't know where it was going, right? The whole story was about like building and mounting despair and tension and just more and more like, right? Because we went from normal, sort of normal poor, but operating a farm, have an income people, right? Traveled up to like completely destitute and impoverished, super rural, and the people are falling apart, and she's like, oh, this woman is what my father was afraid I'd turn into when I married Ernie, right? So like she had this whole trajectory from like Ann Arbor down to farm, and then she sees like the vision of what she may have been in the Jetsons. Let's just call them the Jetsons.
Right?
Jetsons, yeah.
Jetsons, his boy Elroy.
Jetsons, yeah.
All right. He's got this half-starved hog, gets the hog home, hog's dead, looks dead, and then he's even like, oh no, this hog's been shot in the chest. And so I was like, how dead was this hog? So I'm waiting for the bit where it's gonna be like, oh yeah, and the Jensens like completely pulled one over on her, and like the boy was like Weekend at Bernie's-ing the hog around, and it was dead the whole time. Like even before they got it in the trailer, it was dead, and she's super. Now she's out of all of her money, and she's lost her husband's respect. And no, man, then the hog's cool. It's like real good. Like he's real good.
It's not real good, but he's probably going to survive.
He hasn't been fed in a couple days.
Yeah, and he needs antibiotics, and yeah.
Right. Yeah. But like there's the whole thing about his majestic coat and look at those tusks. He's bigger than he seemed. Like it's no, that's a promising hog.
Yeah.
Like he's a boar. He got mixed up with those wild boars from downstate. No.
Yeah.
He's like this weird unasked for.
What if he's got the taint
vision?
Where that comes from?
But they're not going to eat him.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
I don't know.
No,
I think part of the idea
he's a glimmering vision of hope in perseverance.
Yeah.
Yes. But I guess maybe I'm just very cynical because all of the plots that she had done before, the oil beans and the what was the other one? The dairy cow plot. It's not that her education and what she read about how to do this didn't come in handy. It's that forces greater and outside of her control, social, political, agricultural, about the industry, just keep changing things around her all the time because it's a dying industry in the form that they want to do it. It's mostly big farms and plantations now, not little people on the, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's a part of me that's just like, yeah, I don't know if you're going to like actually have a bustling business from this, but you might get a litter of pigs, I guess.
No, Annie, she has a magic fucking pig. It's been shot in the chest. It's gonna be fine. Nothing can stop this pig.
Okay, but we're seeing this from her perspective, and she's very prone to magical thinking. Remember, she was just like, I've always wanted to work with the land in my hands, and it'll be fine, and I'll just use my superior education to like make this all fine. She's very prone to magical thinking. She married a dude mostly because of like their like hot sex life. Like that is like what is at the core of their relationship. Oh man, every time he touches me, I'm like, ooh, like that's it. Like that's you know what I'm saying? Like she has a tendency.
Isn't that normal?
That's a factor, but if that's the factor, like you need more.
Also, he's got a farm. It's
Yeah,
two
he's got a
factors.
farm. 2 factors, yeah.
Yeah, but if it's not worth anything, then
I'm just
how
saying
much of a farm is it?
her long-term planning skills
Farm's worth
aren't
enough.
Yeah, they're not. They haven't been proven to be quite sharp throughout the story. I mean,
Right,
maybe
but
the magical pig will work.
No, but like, okay, I don't know. She, because she did a thing with her hands, right? She wasn't doing her school stuff. She went out and lifted this pig and got pig shit on her hands, and she was smelling it, and she did it. She did it. She did.
She's been doing it.
No, she's been like academically doing it. She invested her money into revamping their current milking apparatus. She bought different seeds that she thought would be good seeds. This time, she went out and lifted up a fucking wild magic boar and shoved that thing and carried it home and ate a chocolate bar, the whole goddamn chocolate bar. No, she's in it now. She's in it.
Okay, but
pig.
She had already been in it previous to this because one, there's a whole thing about how her foot got trampled on by a cow when like a dog got into the barn and started them. She's been doing labor, and also when she sees that older woman who looks really worn out from this hard life, she when they go to exchange money, she sees her own hands are going raw from where the gloves got shredded when she was scrubbing the concrete floor. She's already been doing it. This is just another sort of like big plot that she's doing, but she's been on this farm for over a year. She hasn't just been sitting there reading books this whole time. And she's no
dilettante farmer or anything. No. She's a proper hands-on farmer, and she's been working on the farm. And yes, the relationship with her husband seems a little bit simplistic. Seems a little bit. She maybe she's a bit of a dreamer. She has these schemes that she comes up with, and this is. But then, what are you going to do? Are you going to just sort of stay? I think that's the point. You see the Jensens, and they've obviously not embraced. They haven't got electricity, much less Wi-Fi or Zoom or anything. So so they're just sort of stuck in the old way of farming, and they're having to sell their old pig, their old bull. But what she's trying to do is she's trying to try different things to bring the farm up to date and to bring new life into the farm. So you need the guy, the big roughy toughy guy who's going to dig fence holes and whatever you do on farms. I don't know. I've never been a farmer, but then you've got to have someone with ideas and new things, and you've got to try new things. So I think she's really great, and she's prepared to scrub the concrete floor of the barn and get stuck in. So I think her trip to the Jensen's place is actually what is it? It's backing up her ideas. So she sees what things could be like, but she knows she needs to inject new life into the farm and new ideas. And so this could be something that was going to make the. And if this doesn't work, then she'll try something else. I think.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a tension here between passion and practicality, which is what I think you're explaining, Gerald, right? Like she's very passionate about this idea of working with her hands, of working the land, of working with animals, of marrying someone who just like excites her with his calm movements and how he knows how to like work a carburetor. I don't know what a carburetor is, but she like is very attracted to that. She's very passionate about that, but there's still that practical side of her mind that like the trip to the Jensens, I think, put like the fear of like if things continue to go poorly, like, oh my God, this is my future. And that fear hits her. And there's that tension between, like the whole thing with the chocolate where this is now a luxury. I'm planning on secretly having 1 square from this bar per day, when just a few years ago, she probably lived a life where she could just buy chocolate on a whim and, just like stuff it down while watching Netflix, no problem. Like the trade-off that she's made in her life to pursue this passion I think she has romanticized it and it's very romantic to her, but once in a while when like reality hits her in the face, like when she goes to the Jensen's house, that fear comes back and it's very primal. And, that might be part of the appeal of living this very passionate kind of rugged life, but she doesn't want to go that far, right? She's willing to take some diminishment in her wealth, in her standing in society, in order to live this simpler life where she says that the relaxation and the joy comes through the difficult work, not after the difficult work. She wants to live that kind of life, but there's clearly an end point to how much she's willing to tolerate. And that trade-off between what's practical and what is not is, I would say, like the second theme to the story. I think the main one is just mostly how she, I think, sometimes feels really foolish for making a lot of these decisions. She thought it would be easier than this. She thought her education was all she needed to get through it, and it's not.
Yeah, and I think the chocolate thing is actually quite a key, and I think quite an interesting point in that she was on the way out to the Jensen's place. She bought this luxury bar of chocolate. She was going to have one square at a time and wrap it up and put it away. And I think when she's been to the Jensens, she thinks, no, I'm not going to do that. If I want a bar of chocolate, I'm going to have a bar of chocolate. So she's not going to end up like the woman at the Jensen's place, sort of tied to a sink and with weird men around her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's another point that comes out through the story twice. It's this feeling of like, I'm the only woman here and I'm surrounded by men. She's the only woman there. She's surrounded by men, and the fear that causes felt very real as I was reading it as a woman. Like, yeah, there's certain it depends on the group of guys, of course, but there's certain times where like all of a sudden, as a woman, you very acutely notice, I'm the only woman here. It'll like hit you. Yeah. And then it happens to her twice in the story. I'm like, I know what that is. Yeah. Yeah,
and when she goes home, there's a husband, the neighbor, and the neighbor's son.
And the neighbor's son who's kind of creepy sometimes.
Yeah, a bit leery and a bit a bit weird. Mm-hmm. So I think that's given her an insight into how things could be, and I think she's now determined to make sure it's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
Hurrah for her.
Yes, I don't think she'll succeed though. That might just be me reading this over tragically. Like, to me, it felt when I read that sudden hope that she has because of this like amazing pig that was better than they thought, it felt really foolish and tragic to me. Like, this whole story has been her compromising on where she came from to kind of justify where she is now, right? So there was that whole thing where she's like, should I be calling child services on this like kid who is like 12 years old and clearly underfed and probably not in school, working all the time? And then she's like, no, that's not how you live out here. Okay. The 16-year-old's just like drinking beer in front of me all the time. Like, I don't know if this is okay. No. My sister, the social worker, she would have something to say about this, but no, I am now more like these people and this is fine. And she keeps sort of like, same thing with the chocolate, right? Like, she just keeps compromising on what she thought even just 20 minutes ago to sort of fit into this world in a way that she's going to keep doing that. And I think, I don't know. I don't think she. Yeah.
I think she recognizes the environment she's in. She recognizes, she willingly went into this. She wanted to do farming. She's doing farming. She married a farmer. So I think she willingly went into this and then said, and now she's saying, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I've always wanted to do, but it's going to be on my terms. I'm not going to end up like that Jensen woman. I am going to be my own person.
Yeah, I agree. She thinks that. I just don't think she'll succeed. Like, I totally agree that is exactly where she is coming from. And I think there's something a little foolish, I guess. She's a dreamer. She's a very passionate dreamer. That's the thing. And I think reality is going to keep slapping her.
Yeah.
That's my reading.
I don't think so, because I think she's a creature even bullets could not stop.
You think she okay, I understand. Right, but I don't. It's all from her perspective.
Look, I don't know.
I feel like she's an unreliable narrator in the sense, like she's not the best judge of the direction her life is moving in. But yeah. Because I agree that's exactly how she sees it. But we're so deeply in her perspective that I don't trust her own read on the situation.
I don't know, man. I think the narrator tells us it's going to be all right.
Okay, maybe. Why do you think the narrator is all from her because you're saying the narrator?
Yeah, I don't know. Does the tense change?
No, the tense doesn't change. It's been, what you're saying?
In that last paragraph, right?
No, it had been past tense. It's third person, past tense, but it's so close to her. Like it's like we've talked about this before. Third person where it's like a camera on the person's shoulder.
Yeah, but it's I mean maybe, but it's the bit where it's like she had medicines and ointments. She would suckle this weak monster back to strength. With this many pigs and this and this and these men to help her, it was once again looking very promising. The boar was exactly what she needed.
Oh, so you're reading it like the narrator is telling us what the plan is. I'm reading it like these are the thoughts in her head right now. She's thinking this. Therefore, if you read it as her thinking this, I don't know if I trust what you're thinking, girl. You haven't proved, very wise to me. So it depends on how you read it. If you read it as the narrator giving you information outside of this character's head, sure. But if you read it the way I did, where I'm like, this is just what she's thinking, then no, and not necessarily. I think that.
I don't even think it's. I don't know. That's not the feel I get from it. Like, not even that it's like the narrator stepping back suddenly from the close perspective. Just that in that final paragraph we get a gloss of the future, right? Still from her perspective, but like, and then this, and then that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're reading it as a gloss of the future, where I'm not reading it as a gloss. I'm reading it at her in that moment, being like, okay, cool. I got medicine. I got ointments. This is the plan. Okay, great. This is what I need. The future hasn't happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
no, she built the hog pen.
She built the hog
and the
pen.
neighbor is involved too. So I think that the fact that the neighbor's involved, that there's some investment, not financial, but there's some investment in support at least to that, and she's built the hog pen to the neighbor's specifications. So she's. I think they are recognizing that she's not just saying coming up with ideas and someone else has to create them. That she's actually prepared to get down and do the hard work in order to pursue these ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did the hard work last time too, but I get what you're saying. Yes, she's not completely alone in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that really depressing line when it starts raining again. She's in the car and it's like, when it began to rain, as it was apparently going to do every day for the rest of her life. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
And can I just say that talking about a swollen testicle makes me feel all queasy. And there was a lot of that. There's far too much of it. And it's a woman that's writing it, so she clearly has no understanding of what it's like for a man to read a story about a swollen testicle. It's not good.
Gerald, I don't know if you can make a blanket statement that this is uncomfortable for men to read, because I feel like a lot of people who farm and talk about boar hog testicles every day. Yeah, because I was looking up boar taint as I do, and then I was reading. I went into the weeds because I was really curious, because there's like this whole debate on whether or not boar taint is real, and then something about how when you do a certain there's these vaccines you can do, you have to do a few rounds of it a few weeks apart, but you need to be careful with the timing because of testicle size. You don't want to do it because after the last vaccine dose, the testicles stop growing, so you want to time it just right, where it's just before it's going to taint. You got your maximum testicle size, and this isn't like very scholarly articles that I just skimmed. I don't know why.
Wow.
I was just like, what?
I didn't read that.
What? Boar taint. It's like a whole thing.
I've eaten boar meat before.
Yeah, they think it happens in they think it happens in like 20% of boars, and only 75% of consumers can even detect it. But it's apparently a hormone that happens after puberty in non-castrated pigs. Not all of them, but some of them. So then it's like a whole thing. So people are like, it's not real. And people are like, it's totally real. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good research.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, what is this? What is boar taint? Okay. So there was two scenes that I sort of wanted to focus on. One, it's when she goes to the Jensen's house. I just thought it was masterfully written. Like the way she built the suspense. You know how sometimes we've read certain authors, mostly older authors, like you got to go back maybe like 100 years or so, that they'll try to set up something spooky or suspenseful, and they spend so much time just like making this like purple prose to try and get you there, to beat you over the head with it. And you're like, I got it. Like, I get it. It's spooky, but it never actually felt as spooky as this. There was something about the way that she wrote this and that she revealed everything where I was just terrified with her. And very briefly, Andy will probably catch this reference. Sorry, Gerald. It made me think of Courage the Cowardly Dog, the farm in Courage the Cowardly Dog, right? Like, that's what I thought. Like, this is like some like spooky, like, yeah.
Right, just something's off here. Super
off. And yeah, I thought of that. Muriel and Eunice. Yeah. Anyway. Eustace. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it's a cartoon from our childhood about a very spooky farm in the way rural areas where like strange paranormal things happen. And there's this cowardly dog who's the only one who can like see it. kind of. Anyway, it's a really stupid cartoon, but it made me think of that kind of setting. Yeah.
So, okay.
Anyway.
I thought it was about Animal Crossing for a minute.
No, we wouldn't do that for you, Gerald.
Okay, thank you. That's very kind of you.
So
that was very good. That was, and it was a really subtle way of building up the tension and explaining everything away, like the house is in darkness, but then they haven't got electricity and So she's sort of rationalizing why the farm is like it is, but that doesn't take the tension away. I think she did a great job to be able to keep that tension going throughout that section. It's and men materializing at the table, and then a boy, and it's it's really really good. Really enjoyed reading that bit.
Yeah. And there's a brief moment where she's wondering if she's even at the right house. And I think as the reader, she is, and that makes it spookier, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, all right, because like, what does that mean? Am I at the right house? That means I don't want to be here, right?
Right, you don't want to be here. Or when she sees the old man at the table and she's like, is he dead? She's like, no, a corpse wouldn't be sitting up at a table. But he looks like silly. A corpse. That's silly. Of course it's not a corpse sitting at a table.
Yeah, because she wanted to arrive there in daylight, but she stopped to get some rye bread and chocolate, and that made her late, apparently.
Because Gerald, it's funny. I had that same thing. I'm like, how does stopping for bread and chocolate delay your entire day? And then I was like, what?
Let me tell you about my trip to Michigan lately.
I was gonna say, this is what happens in those states.
Really?
You just drive for hours on end and you found one store. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. Like, she stopped in town to get rye bread and chocolate, which that was half an hour out of her way, right? That was
less than that, surely.
She went over here and then back here and then back up the old dirt road until it ends.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just everything.
Michigan, is it?
Spread out, very spread out, all the way spread out.
Yeah.
Just. Yeah. There's like. Here's a town. It's like the town is like the store and like 4 or 5 houses and like 2 other kinds of stores, and then like forests for like 20 miles.
And is there a Blockbuster Video there as well?
I think there's only one left in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was just, and I think part of also maybe why it was so effective is while the author was giving us a lot of description about the house, she still was moving along what you're seeing very, very close to Jill, the protagonist, because when I think about, what story I'm thinking about? It's the Red Tower. Remember how much? Remember how much time the author spent trying to convince you of the spookiness of this tower, but no one was moving with it. You weren't ever feeling it. It was just like a dead camera floating around telling, and here's a spooky thing, and here's a spooky thing, but you're not feeling it with anyone. You don't have someone like jumping back from what they think is a corpse at a table. And I think that made a huge difference. Right.
That's specifically what makes this good and what made that terrible. Let's review Red Tower. Still terrible. Okay.
No, I liked Red Tower more than you guys did, for sure. But that was one of its problems. Yeah, there was too much time just being a disembodied camera floating around a tower. Yeah,
and I think that's a good thing, because it's it sort of goes to the core of storytelling and pulling the reader in and the reader imagining being in the situation. So it's far easier for a reader to imagine themselves as a character experiencing something than just watching something on a screen. As you say, there's camera floating around and there's this weird thing, there's that spooky thing, and it's just, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's just exposition, it's just stuff. But it's much better to show somebody being in the situation and reacting to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we had spent just enough time with Jill before she went to the house that we trusted her to not be like some scaredy cat who jumps at the sight of her own shadow. We knew she, was a woman of some substance. Yeah, flights of fancy, a little bit, a bit of a dreamer, but like not like wimpy or weak, like we knew that about her. Yeah.
No, she's good. I like her. She's a good character.
Yeah, and she's going to be fine.
Yeah.
She has a magic boar now. Nice.
She's gonna be fine because worst comes to worst, she's got a decent safety net with or without that magic boar. Like, what? Her dad's not gonna be like, yeah, sure, you can definitely come back after this crazy adventure you had. Like she's fine. But.
And she's got a farming diploma, so she could go and marry somebody else, I suppose. A grape farmer or something. I know, to make wine.
They're not going to be as handsome as Ernie.
Or as interesting in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing that was kind of funny is when she comes back after she's had this scare at the house, she's basically had a breakdown in the car. She's thinking about all the things her family has said and how right they are. And she's like stuffed this whole thing of chocolate in her mouth while she still has like pig shit on her hands. She gets back there. She assumes the hog is dead. All he does is put his hand on hers. She's still in the car. She hasn't even left the truck yet, right? And she's immediately like, no, I can't get aroused now, but I kind of am. And it's like, really? It's that powerful? Like, you should be dead to the world. There should be nothing he can do right now.
Well, you haven't met Ernie.
Clearly. Yeah.
Speaking of Ernie.
Yeah.
Brings that pig back to life and transforms it into a magic boar.
He's just like that. He just has these skills.
He's a proper farmer.
He's a proper farmer. I like Ernie. I just, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what did he whisper to that pig, man?
No one
That's
knows.
for the pig to know and for you to guess at. It's probably the same as he whispers to Jill in who knows?
Yeah. And, yeah. And another thing that I really like that this author did, Campbell did, was in the car when she's having the breakdown, when she's having that, just before we hear about what her dad has said in the past. So this whole moment where all she does is break down and have that chocolate. As a reader, I guessing at her pain and the source of it and what she is regretting and what she is afraid of without having it confirmed. And only in like a paragraph or two later does the author confirm it. I like when authors give you a chance to figure it out on your own before telling you what it is, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's more fun as a reader. Like, oh, this is happening right now and I totally get it, but all I'm doing is watching someone cry in their car, right? But you've given me enough that I can piece together what's going through their mind. Then later you can tell me what's going through their mind or not. You don't have to. You can, but I like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice bit of reflection on her behalf, recognizing that what she did was perceived as a risk by her father, and 6 years studying agriculture. Wow, that's a big old college course.
But that's again the beautiful clues that Campbell puts in here. Okay, this is a woman who comes from a family where if the screen door has the tiniest hole in it, her dad replaces the entire screen door, right? And who somehow has the luxury of going to college for 6 years to study agriculture, not because she grew up on a farm. Like, this is just like a thing that she wanted to study almost kind of on a whim, given her background. It tells you a lot about the class she's coming from.
Right. Well, Ann Arbor.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, there's like a lot of, yeah. Exactly. Just in very small ways. She doesn't have to draw out for you the kind of the socioeconomic class that she came from. There's just enough clues, just things like the screen door line, the resentment she has of having to like feel bad about losing $25. Remember, she was like, she feels so awful that this boar is probably dead and she's lost $25, and she resents that she should even feel bad about losing $25, right? Because she didn't used to.
And there's a reflection back to what we were saying earlier, because it says until Jill had seen the Jensen woman, she hadn't understood what her family feared for her. So so she could see from her perspective, looking at the Jensen woman, what her family are seeing looking at her. And you know, why didn't she get a nice little office job like her dad? Yeah.
It's really good. I liked it.
Yeah, it's getting better.
It is getting better. Andy, I still don't know if you liked it or not. I can't tell.
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
Oh, okay. Why are you playing so coy?
You didn't.
Well, because you assumed I didn't like it, so I thought, well, let's let her run with that for a while. Okay,
to explain to our listeners why I thought you didn't like it is before we went live, you said, yeah, well, let's discuss this Boar. And you said it in a way as if you were saying B-O-R-E and doing a play on words to say you were bored with it. That's what it sounded like. Let's discuss this Boar.
No, it's a male pig.
I know it's a male pig, but you know what I mean. Thought you were doing a play on words.
No, I'm not that clever.
Yeah, you are. You would do that.
Yeah, but I like this story. All right.
Okay. Anything else we want to say? I think I've hit all of my gushy points.
Yeah.
I just, this is where I opened, but like, I just really like the way it. Anais, you disagree about the hopeful note at the end, but just it spent all this time ramping up the tension, right? Like specifically, it was really gearing up for a big note of despair, and then it's like, oh, maybe it's gonna be all right. I was like, that's just nice. It's just nice, and it feels nice, Anais.
I guess maybe I'm just a huge cynic because I agree with you. It ends on a hopeful note. I agree with you that if you're going over the emotional arc of this story, the way that it is written is it ends with her in a happier, better off place, hopeful for the future. I just cynically am like, ha, you are once again being foolish. Things will not plan out as you had, even if in that moment she is genuinely hopeful and happy.
Well, look, let's just say maybe in the world today, a person might look and see everything falling into despair and ruin.
True.
And would be receptive to a note of hope.
Or alternatively, someone living in this world today would read a note of hope and be like, you fool. You fool.
Wow.
You don't know what comes. This story was written in 2008, let me tell you.
Jeez.
I saw this meme.
You gotta have hope. Gotta have hope.
I saw this meme that said 2020 is looking like what 2000 thought she would look like. Like, remember we thought the year 2000 was the end of the world, Y2K, and then nothing happened? They're like, yeah, 2020 is what 2000 thought she would look like. Anyway.
Wow.
On that happy note.
Yeah. Hey, the world's real bad.
The world's real bad, guys. I don't know if you heard of. Anyway.
I don't know if you've been following the news, but bad.
Nah, I don't watch the news.
I also saw this thing. This was like some Reddit thing. Somebody was like, that the media's lying because murder hornets are actually the Asian giant hornet. I'm like, no one's denied that. Murder hornet is just a fun nickname. Like, just giving something a nickname doesn't mean that you deny. It was the strangest like rant. Like, more proof of lies. Murder hornets aren't their own species. I'm like, what? Okay, anyway.
Yeah, right. Scientists didn't name them murder hornets. You're correct.
Right. You are correct. That's not what happened. It was nuts. Anyway.
But aren't they just drones? Drones sent in by the government, the murder hornets?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite, this is a pre-2020 conspiracy theory. This goes back like 10 years or so, but one of my favorite online conspiracy theories is that birds don't exist. All birds are drones. Google it. Oh, it's wild. It's wild. No. It's my favorite. All birds are drones. Anyway, that's an old one.
Who trusts Google? Hey. You don't want to trust them.
So should we move on to ratings?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. That's the thing we do.
It is. Okay.
It is. Every time.
Yeah. Are we all going to give it very high marks? I'm coming in at a nice 6. Because it met my test of, as I read the story, did I immediately want to give it to at least one person for them to read? Yes. If that happens, that's a 6. If I'm immediately like, someone else must read this that I know, at least one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very simple test.
It is. Because like if there's a lot of stories that I like a lot, like this story is very good, and I'll be like, oh, 5, 5.5. What makes it a 6 for me is I immediately text someone like, oh, you're going to love this story. You got to read this. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I started at a 5 and I've gone up to 5.5.
Okay. Andy?
Yeah, well, I had a very similar experience where I read this story and I was immediately like, wow, I'm very confused and I need to talk about this now.
Mm-hmm. And what did Karina say?
She mostly just listened.
Okay.
And let me explore my weird responses.
Okay.
How did you know it was Karina? It could have been any number of people that I interact with on a person-to-person basis.
Yeah, maybe your son, Karina or Brandon. Okay.
Because we're quarantined.
One or the other.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 5. And
okay.
Just similar, I don't know that I tell someone else they need to read it, but I sure did need to talk about it right away.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that I because I got to the end of it and I thought that's a bit of a tedious story. It sort of nothing, woman goes, buys a hog and comes back and it's okay. But then when you read it a second time and you get drawn into her point of view and you get drawn into the story and you just think, oh, this is in its sort of like overarching description, it is quite a simple idea and a simple story, but actually there's a lot to it. There's a lot of emotions being tugged out, and yeah, it's a good 5.5.
Yeah, the emotions point I think is worth stressing again because the author definitely took me on a ride. What she wanted me to feel, expertly done. I felt it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm ready for the game. What are you guys submitting?
Woo-hoo. Well, I'm going to grant her because I said to my partner, I said, I love suggesting stories from Calf magazine, but people complain because they're MFA stories and tick all the boxes and they're
We need to be clear what we mean by MFA stories because there's a lot of authors who have MFAs who we love, but we're saying it's a particular tone, just in case we
Sorry, yes, I didn't mean to be disparaging about it. It's just that sometimes they seem a little bit formulaic, that they've been instructed on how to write a story, and this is the sort of story that comes out. And I personally love them. I love reading them, but they're not. Yeah, they don't get universal approval. So I've gone to Granta magazine. That's slightly edgy. The Sweet House of Mrs. O by Lincoln Michelle.
Okay.
I would actually like to share a fun fact because I researched our author because I was like, I wonder what her story is. Also, I just read the Wikipedia article. I didn't do a deep dive, but like, pretty good story. Just hey, there's a cat.
Yeah.
So she got her master's in mathematics in 1995, and then her MFA in 98.
Mm-hmm.
Wow!
She's
what a neat little master's in mathematics, and then right back for Masters of Fine Arts.
Yeah,
that's fun. That's a fun. Just I don't know all the details of that story, but any detail you can fill in would be a neat one.
How did this happen? Yeah.
Well,
maybe someone knows and can write in.
Anyway,
yes,
I'm submitting Night Swim by Anne Enright.
Okay. So, I have a quiz, multiple choice. It's obscure farming terms because when I came across the word gilt, I was like, what is a gilt? And it's apparently a young female pig before it's had its first litter, or more commonly, a year old, roughly. Great. There's got to be more of those. There's so many more obscure farming terms. So,
excellent.
I have Andy first, then Gerald. So, Andy, what is a deadhead? What is a deadhead? Is it a cow that no longer produces milk, a plant that has stopped flowering for the season, a Grateful Dead fan, or a plow that is broken? Farming, please.
I know you count beeves by head, but beeves aren't dairy cows. But I'll still say a cow that stopped producing milk.
Nope, it's a plant that stopped flowering for the season. Yeah. Okay, Gerald.
Okay.
What is a dibble? dibble? Is it a pointy stick for digging holes for seeds, the smallest nipple on an udder, a common harmless birth defect on baby goat ears, or a watering hose extension to make the spray more fine?
Those could all be very true.
Yeah. Now, I thought the seed planty thing was a dibber or dibble. It's the seed planty pokey stick thing.
It is. Good job.
I could be a farmer.
Oh, we have a comment here.
I'm growing tomatoes.
We have Beth Mayer, who has come. She's an author who's come on our show before. She says that Bonnie Jo Campbell chooses to still live near her home base with her folks. A little more information about her. Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, so Andy.
Yo.
A flird. Is it a common pest that plagues legume crops, a type of rope knot for cattle wrangling, a flock of baby ducks, or a mashup for flock and herd for multi-species pastures?
The rope thing.
Nope, flock and herd. If you put sheep and cows together, yeah, that's a flird now. If you got sheep and cows together, flird.
Huh.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
There was a great, I don't know if you saw this great thing I shared on Facebook in the week that got two farmers and said, I got problems with my flock of cows. And the other farmer says, herd of cows. He said, of course I have. I've got a flock of them. Move on.
Okay, Gerald. What is a toad strangler? Is a toad strangler a very heavy rain, a very severe drought, a type of irrigation system that uses strategic flooding, or a tool to extract water from flooded plains?
Toad strangler.
So not a serial killer that strikes amphibians.
Nothing to do with strangling toads then.
No.
So you had flood, drought, and
irrigation that uses flooding, or a tool to extract water from flood.
The irrigation that uses flooding.
Nope, it's just a very heavy rain. That's it. It's called the toad strangler. Obscure farming terms. Okay.
It is very.
Andy.
Yo.
What is a cat skinner? Again, not a serial killer. Is a cat skinner a farmhand who exterminates predators from barns and coops, a farmer unskilled in butchering, a caterpillar tractor operator, or a prickly weed?
A caterpillar tractor operator.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very specific. Okay, Gerald, this is to win. If not, you guys are tied. You might know this one. What is a jenny? Is it a type of barn door hinge that lets large livestock come and go without leaving the barn door open? Is it a female donkey? Is it the alpha hen in a coop, often preferred by the rooster, or a female sheep who has not yet given birth to offspring?
It's the female donkey.
It is a female donkey.
Huh.
I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Well, Gerald wins.
Yeah, I am the farmer for this week.
Beth Mayer clarifying that her comment was she lives in her home base with her folks, meaning people, not parents.
Okay. That's cool. So next week we are reading The Smart House of Mrs. O by Lincoln Michelle.
In Granta Magazine. Okay.
In Granta Magazine. Yeah, get me, eh?
Yeah. Well, before you go, share your fruitless farming adventures with us at our Facebook group, The Literary Roadhouse Readers, or on Twitter at LitRoadhouse, or our website, LiteraryRoadhouse.com. And prevent podcast poverty by leaving a review on iTunes for Literary Roadhouse and contributing to our podcast expenses at patreon.com/LiteraryRoadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with the bulletproof boars in your life. Until next time, read a good story.
But have you just seen the comments?
Yes, the author just came in.
Oh my God.
Yay.
Oh,
Aw.
wow.
She's happy you knew about donkeys, Gerald. We love the story. This is awesome.
Rescued that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, Bonnie Jo.
Yes.
Wow.
We love this. Amazing.
Good job we liked it.
Yeah. you'll be even more pleased to learn that this is a genuine review, because sometimes we don't like stories, and that's unfortunate, but we genuinely really love this one. So
we did. Great story.
Okay. Well, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.